Kratos, the ghost of Sparta, had taken his place amongst the Olympians as the god of war. The bloodshed, the relentless battles, had finally brought him here. Ares was dead, and though Olympus beckoned, visions of his mortal existence still haunted him.
Kratos, help me.
Kratos knew that this was not a mere vision, for with the gods, nothing was ever as it seemed. The vision of his past set Kratos in search of answers. Answers that lay in the temple of Poseidon, deep within the city of Atlantis.
You know, it's funny. I've been looking at these PSP games that we already reviewed because we have better technology today than we did way back when. But much to my surprise, I never actually reviewed Ghost of Sparta, and I have absolutely no idea why. But I'm here today to rectify that with a retro review looking at God of War Ghost of Sparta on the PlayStation Portable. The game was made by the same fine folks that made Daxter and Chains of Olympus, which is Ready at Dawn. And it was a fantastic way to end off their PSP support. I can't believe it, but the game was released back in 2010, making it already 6 years old. It's crazy how fast time flies. I'll admit that after God of War 3, I was ready to close the book on Kratos and the God of War series. Honestly, who is left for Kratos to kill after God of War 3? Santa Claus? The Easter Bunny? Maybe that douchebag Ronald McDonald? Seriously though, where could they possibly take the series from here? When I played through the game back in 2010, it was impressive to be sure, but it was certainly getting tired. The gameplay was the same as it always had been. Sure, there were new magical abilities and weapons, and yes, the game was epic, but it was the context to all of this violence that was missing. I stopped caring about why I was going around ripping people apart and destroying monsters, and, well, I just played for the sake of playing. Returning to the game 6 years later, and I actually appreciated the game a lot more today than I did back then. And the reason is simple. It's been quite a few years since I've even played a God of War game. So even though the gameplay is tried and true, action mixed with some puzzle elements, it's still a very fun series to play. The graphics are the first thing that really surprised me, as the game actually looks a little bit better than Chains of Olympus did, and I didn't remember that, even though I knew the game was released a little bit later. The controls still do take a little bit of getting used to, but they feel more refined and tighter, and thankfully the QuickTime event reaction timer has been extended, meaning you don't have to have the reflexes of the Flash in order to defeat a big boss on the first try. Overall though, it's the gameplay that counts, and while the series certainly was getting long in the tooth by the time this game was released, it plays wonderfully today. The different environments, the excellent new gameplay additions, however minor they are, all feel amazing. It was a game I was happy to return to, and I ended up finishing the whole game for this review, which I rarely do these days. Normally I just see how the game is held up and then reminisce about it, and that's pretty much it. But here I was with Ghost of Sparta 5 hours in and really having a blast with it. God of War Ghost of Sparta is a very fun game to play regardless of what you may have thought about it years back. Moving forward, we know now that Kratos and the God of War series as a whole is moving in an entirely new direction that I'm actually quite excited to see. I'm glad you have these retro games we can always return to in order to get our old school, rage-fueled Kratos fix, but Sony's doing the right thing and moving forward in a bold new direction. For those interested in Ghost of Sparta, the game can be had on UMD for just a few dollars on eBay, or via the PlayStation Network digital store for about $15.